Hey, this is a test to see if I can do some visual algebra. It's been probably 20 years since I've tried 4th grade, and Singapore math is kind of a new technique. So I'm going to try a couple of examples. Hopefully it'll help you out. So what I want to start with is I want to come up with a way to divide a garden into halves, and then from that see how many cuts I'm going to have to make to this garden to come up with 8/12 of the garden planted as corn. So we're going to look at this guy's garden, and let's say his name is going to be Austin. So we've got a nice rectangular garden, as you can see there. What we want from the equation, or from the problem rather, is 8/12 of it to be corn, and we're going to cut this into halves. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit, 8/12, if you can see that. Alright, so you can see, and I'm going to do this with different colors, that the first cut is going to be in half, okay? So before we jump in to the solution and see how many cuts we're going to have to make, first let's see what 8/12 look like. So I'm going to draw the exact same box right below it. And since Austin wants 8 out of 12 of these rows to be corn, I'm going to draw 12 little boxes. So let's see, here's 2, 3, 4. We've got, let's do this again, see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I probably didn't cut these halves well enough, so I'm going to go ahead and cut another one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like I'm going to have to do one more. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, one more. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, I'm not an artist, but assume that these are going to be the same size box, right? So if I need 8/12 of them, then I've got 1, let's count it out again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I want 8 of these, so I want this group, let's say, to be corn. Okay? The other thing that I notice here is that particularly if we're cutting stuff in half, right, let's see how many groups that we can look at. So if you look at common denominators, you know, you got a group of 2, you got a group of 2, a group of 2, so on, and so on, right? So there's one idea. You also can go a little bit larger and say that you've got groupings of 4. So this would be if we were to cut it in thirds. Now, we're not going to be able to cut it in thirds because we can only cut things in half. So let's see what we can do to shade in 8/12. So if we shade it in 8/12, you see that that's roughly 2/3 of the entire garden. Okay, so let's think of how we can do this. Common denominators say that if 8/12 is the same as 2/3, then let's look at some of the others. So what's 2/12? Well, that's going to be equivalent to 1/6. Alright, let's look at a couple of others. So let's see, 6 over 12. 12 goes into 6. Well, it's not a full number, so let's go the other way. 6 goes into 12. Well, that looks like 2 times, so this is going to be 1/2, right? We can reduce this. So now it's really an instance of how can I get it to 1/2 and 1/6. So let's think about this a little bit more. If I've cut the original garden into halves, and I know that 6/12 is 1/2, then I'll go ahead and shade this and say that this is going to be the corn, and that's roughly going to be 6/12 of my 8/12 total. So if I look up here, I've got 6/12 plus something, I don't know yet, but I know it has to be over 12, right, is equal to 8/12. I'll move this up just a little bit. So what do I get here? 6 plus something equals 8/12. What I'm missing and what I'm going to need to draw is something that has 2/12 in it. Okay? Alright, so what we've done earlier is we've cut out half of this. We've cut out 6/12, right? So think back how we could draw these into 6 pieces. If I have 1, then I'm going to need 2, 3, 4, probably another one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, terrible drawing, but you get the idea. We've cut it in halves again. Alright, so if I'm going to shade, and I need to shade 2 more 6ths, I'm going to look right here, right? So this gives me my 8/12. Now we can go a little bit further to say what is the least amount of cuts that I need. So you know that you can only cut things in half, and again you can see kind of how we divided those into halves. So what's the least number that we can get away with? I'm going to take back these 2/12 again, and we're going to see what the least number is. So I've already got one cut. I'm going to do this with different color markers just so you see. So if I'm going to cut this in half, I need to do that. Alright, so now we're up to 2 cuts. If I have to cut it in half again, alright, you see that that's 3 cuts. Now what we did in order to get that was we counted the squares, right? Or we counted the boxes. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to color this in purple. Hopefully you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I did this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I did this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So one thing that we can look at is I'm doing this as a double check. I got 6 spots, and I know from a second ago that I just covered this area, right? So what that says, if I can cover that area without cutting, then I really didn't even need the purple in the first place. I was just doing this so that you visually got the idea, right? Because we're not filling this with anything. So all I did was I made one cut there in red to get my 6/12. I had to make another cut to get this half in blue, and then I made a third cut so that I could get this remaining red spot. So we found out 6/12 and 2/12 is 8/12. We know how much corn's going in. That's the same thing as 2/3. And in order to cut something in half to get down to 2/3, you need 1, 2, 3 cuts. So the least amount that you can do is 3 cuts. Hopefully that helps out. I'll probably be adding some different videos as they pop up.